and every time. And as always, make sure, guys, we get them likes up today. And if it's your first time in there, make sure you sub to my channel as well. Big up to Lumi each and every time. Big up to Reluctant Gamer as well. So Lumi says, Gamer, good to see you again. Last I heard were you was in Turkey to escape the transfer window. Yeah, big up Gamer, man. Again, that transfer window must have been mad for you, Gamer. Obviously Newcastle, eventually selling Isak, But I think if we look at the fact that they've got Walter Marder and Johan Visser, I think it's not a bad window for them in the end, But I do think they should have at least saved face, really, and kept Isak or sold him for the 150 that was reported, So, but who knows? Gav, what's your take on his appointment? For me, it brings entertainment to the league, Postecoglou. You know what? I actually rate Postecoglou very highly. I think he's a very good manager. I think at Tottenham, obviously, as we know, he was very lackadaisical, I would say, with his with how he set his team up. But one thing that can't be leveled against Tottenham is that Tottenham didn't go out there to score goals, and they did that consistently all the time. So I think, but they were too open at the back, which is why I think Thomas Frank coming in, I think he's going to make them a bit more solid at the back there. And as we've seen already before, he does get goals out of his front line, which is what was seen with the likes of Mbeumo, Visser, and obviously more not recent, but Ivan Toney as well. So I think he's going to be. I think they're going to be fine. I do think they're going to be fine. Nottingham Forest. I know people are saying that, how they're going to adapt to his team. But I think, again, some of the players that he has, they might not be the identical players that he kind of likes. But I think it's going to be a challenge for him to try and bring his philosophy to them. But I look at the defence, Milinkovic and Murillo. I don't think they're both blessed with massive pace, but they are two very good defenders. Ola Aina at fullback and Nico Williams. They're decent fullbacks. But I think, I think he's going to need to, get them more compact at the back, I would say, even though that's not really his style. But I think they will score goals, and it's going to be good to see what he actually brings. But I like Postecoglou. I think he's a good manager. I wouldn't have minded him at Man United, But again, Nottingham Forest, obviously his relationship with Marinakis, I think that's going to be a good combination. I think two Greek guys. So let's see. So Ben White's quotes on Gyökeres, the most professional trainer I've seen. A monster defenders can't handle. Hungry for goals. I can't wait to see him bang the goals in. Yeah, well, listen, I'm not taking that seriously from Ben White, man, because let's face it, Ben White shouldn't even be in that. Ben White shouldn't even be at the club anyway. So, or maybe he should, because they're all losers together, Arsenal and Ben White. So, yeah, listen, I'm not going to take what Ben White says seriously on Gyökeres. The proof is in the pudding. And as I said, they got Nottingham Forest on the weekend. And let's see what Gyökeres can do, because there's no hiding it. He hasn't started off well, What's that? 3 games, 2 goals, one being a penalty. Yeah, I think we have to just remain cautious, really, with Victor Gyökeres. Because, again, from what I've seen of him and what I knew already, I haven't really been too impressed, if I'm honest. But let's see. Big up Lumi says, looking fresh, Gav. I like the jacket. You know what? It's actually my personal training jacket, funny enough. So, yeah, it's actually my personal training jacket. So I wear it every now and again. So I've got to train someone straight after this stream. So yeah, I just thought I'd put it on now. But big up. City versus United. What's your prediction? You know what? I think I said this yesterday. A lot of it is going to be dependent on the lineup for me, because I just don't trust the manager to pick the right lineup, and that's why I don't think they'll get over the line. I think if United come out of it with a draw, it won't be the end of the world. But somehow I think the fact that City are at home, I think City will win this game. I think City are not going to want to go 3 games without a win. I've never seen a Man City team under Pep or Pep in general lose 3 games in a row. So I have to say that I make City slight favourites. I know they got quite a few injuries, but a lot of it depends on how the game starts off for me and what team Amarim's going to pick. And as I said, I went through the team that he's going to pick, which is the back 3, which is the team that I'd probably pick. You know, the Lick, Euro, probably Shaw. I mean, I wouldn't mind playing Aiden Heaven. Goalkeeper's going to be an interesting one. I think, as I said, I think a lot of people want Lamans to start, but I think by in their place, I don't think he throws Lamans into a Manchester derby for me. The wing backs, if Dallow's fit, Dallo starts. I think he's gonna play Dallo if he's fit, and I think Ahmad might miss out because I'm confident that Patrick Dorgu starts as a left wing back. So a lot of it depends if Dallow's out or not. If Dallow's not out, if Dallow's injured, then Ahmad and Dorgu will play. The midfield is going to play Casemiro and Bruno. And but again, a lot of it depends if Mason Mount and Cunha are fit. Because if Mount's out injured, I can see him playing Bruno in the left 10 and then playing Ugarte and Casemiro as more defensive. And then, again, if Cunha's fit, Cunha will play through the middle with Mbeumo. If Cunha's not fit, then he'll play Sesko. So I can see what manager's going to do. And automatically, I don't really rate that team. Because for me, Joshua Zirkzee needs to start, but Zirkzee's not going to play. Again, I don't like seeing Ahmad in this wing-back role. Yeah, there's a lot of variables for me that I don't really rate about what this manager does, you know. So just based on that and the way they've been playing, I'm not confident United go there and get a win. I think if anything, a draw is what will be the end result, and I think a draw is not the worst result, but something tells me City will be going there, you know, to pick up all 3 points, you know. And again, it's going to be a good game. So Lumi says, is it me? Is it just me, or has this international break dragged on? Do you know what? I mean, because I've obviously I was away for the weekend. It's kind of gone quick for me, and thank God. So yeah, I think the fact that Premier League football's back now. But let's not forget, I believe when it's after I think there's another international break coming up. I think it might be within the next month or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, these international breaks are annoying, to be honest, you know. Is big up to Daniela. Says, hi, Gav, hope you're well. I'm all good. As you guys know, my throat was killing me. Yeah, my throat was well, it wasn't killing me, but it just, you know, I couldn't really when I'm doing the streams, it like my throat just sounded funny, you know. My voice just sounded funny, but it's coming back now. So yeah, I feel more positive now in terms of getting back into the routine of getting the content out. So yeah, no, I'm all good. I hope you're well too, and appreciate you coming through as always. Guys, come on, smash the like button and make sure you sub to the channel if you're new. I believe I think I'm 10 away from 1.6k. So yeah, if you guys haven't subbed to the channel already, make sure you do. And guys, make sure you share the channel as well. You know, make sure you share the channel. As I said, I'm 10 away from 1.6k. So as I said, if you're new in here, make sure you sub. And as always, make sure you smash that like button as well. Lumi says, Trafford or Donnarumma for this game? I think Pep's going to play Donnarumma. And I think it'll be clever if he does play Donnarumma as well. Because what you have to look at is the fact that it's a Manchester derby. You know, he's a new signing. They're at home. I think everything works in Donnarumma's favour. He's one of the best keepers in the world. So everything works in the favour for Donnarumma to start that game. And I think he does. Because all you have to look at is, you know, City have lost back-to-back games. Not saying that they're on Trafford, because Trafford has made some very, very good saves. But I think when you're getting a keeper of the stature of Donnarumma, and you've got a home game against your rivals, Manchester Derby, I think playing Donnarumma is going to get the crowd even more up for it, the Man City crowd, or even more up for him. So I think it'll be clever for him to start Donnarumma, and I believe he does start as well. So and yeah, I like Trafford, but I would play Donnarumma. I think he will start Donnarumma. Yeah. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. Big up to Broderick each and every time. Comrade says to be honest, they need a new formation and new tactics. But as I said, under this manager, it's very obvious that he's not going to change anything. So it's pretty pointless to keep going over this, really. I think the main thing is that the manager hopefully will be on his way. Because as I keep saying, it's just annoying watching this team and this system, and you're not getting the best players on the pitch at the same time for that reason, or in their best positions. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, though. As I said, I'm not one of them fans that's going to come out here and hope the team loses just so the manager gets out. I just hope that Ineos are looking at the bigger picture, and they kind of pull the plug if these results don't go in favour. You know, that, and I think that needs to happen. As I said, I was disappointed that Amorim wasn't gone in this international break, because I thought that was a great opportunity. But that win against Burnley probably saved it, which is crazy to think. But I think these next 5 games will be his judgment day for me. So, yeah, let's see. Let's see. Comrade says, do you play Premier League Fantasy? Do you know what? I actually don't, man. I don't actually play for Fantasy. I don't. Big up to Jay. Yeah, no worries, Jay, man. No worries. Yeah, no worries, man. At least you're back on now anyway. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going through some of the chats. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we're gonna get on to what we're gonna talk about. So, you know, obviously there was news. I actually see last night, actually, funny enough, and news around Malick Fofana, Leon winger, 20 years of age, Belgian international, very very good player. Actually linked to Chelsea as well, and I think Tottenham and Liverpool were actually linked to him as well. So, yeah, for me, he's a very good player. And again, Man United were rumoured to be looking at him at the end of the window. Now, for me, it's concerning, and then it's not. Because for me, the reason it's concerning is because the midfield was obviously the priority in what United needed. But then when you think about it like this, you've got Kobe Manu not getting any game time. You've got Ugarte, who's been a poor signing. Bruno Fernandes shoehorned into the midfield. He's on 350. And the same with Casemiro on 350. So when you actually think about it, if this manager is a coach, yeah, yeah, big up to Exedra, man. Big up, bro. If this manager's a coach, then you would think to yourself, well, let's try and see what this manager can do in terms of getting better out of these players. And I think this is what Ineos probably saw. You know, they probably looked at the manager and thought to himself, you know, we know you want a midfielder, but you're not really doing good with this midfield that you've got, and you've got an academy product that isn't being utilised. So they probably looked at him and thought, right, we can get you someone on loan if you desperately want him, but he's not going to be a permanent. And obviously, I'm not sure what happened in between that conversation, because I'm guessing that's what the conversation that was had. Because obviously, as we know, Conor Gallagher was the player that Amorim wanted, which again is another massive red flag for me with this manager. So yeah, I think it's a case where they probably looked at it and thought, you know, you've got players there, and you're not utilising them. So why are we going to go out and spend money on another midfielder? You know, which I think is a very clever plan. But the Malick Fofana one, again, is another club signing. So I think this is why he was being targeted. And I think you look at where Fofana plays, you know, In this system, he'd be a left 10. Obviously, in a 4-2-3-1, he'd be a left winger. 4-3-3 left winger, you know. So, again, I think the fact that they were chasing him was more of a club signing thing in mind for me personally. But I think how much would he have cost? That's another thing. Because I think if we're looking at Fofana, I reckon between 40 and 60 million, I think he might have cost. Because, again, look at his age, look at the potential, you know. I think, yeah, I think about 40 million, I reckon he would have cost to get into the club. So, but the fact that United were looking at him, again, is a surprise. And, but it's one of them things where, you know, it's a club signing. And the more club signings this club makes, the better for me, really. So, I'm happy that they're targeting players like this. And I think January, could he be an option? You know, end of the season, could he be an option? So yeah, that's positive signs, really. And I think it's one of them things where in Ineos, all the players that they've been rumoured to be in for, I don't think they were in for Conor Gallagher. I think Conor Gallagher was a name that was mentioned by the manager, you know, and I think it's one of them things where, you know, they gave him the option of a loan deal, and the fact that he probably wanted a permanent, which is why the club shut it down. So again, everything that Ineos are doing in terms of this of the players that they're looking at, you know, it is positive. Malick Fofana, I like him. I think he's good. You know, Cunha and Mbeumo, as we know. Sesko, you know, as I said, I'm not too dissatisfied with Sesko now that Hoyland's gone. Who else is there? The links to Baleba, as I said. Adam Walton, the links to they've been positive links, put it that way. So yeah, I'm more or less happy with that. M&L Edit says Bruno is our best player. Well, again, this is part of the problem, because if you think Bruno is our best player, it's telling me that you haven't really seen too much football, M&L Edits. Because when you say Bruno is our best player, tell me why you think he's Man United's best player. Because I already know what you're going to come out with, and that's really going to tell me, you know, that the way that you see football is is flawed, put it that way. So let's see what you come out with. Again, everyone's free to their opinion, but let's see what you come out. Let's see why you think Bruno's Man United's best player, and then we can debate that. Because again, it's a debate that I'm here for. So yeah, if you think he's the best player, let us know why. Zedra says, I agree, Gab. The links to the good players give me a lot of hope. It's how I knew for a fact the Gallagher news was nonsense. Yeah, big up, man. Listen, 100%. As I said, you know, if the Conor Gallagher news was true, I would have lost my shit, you know. And it's one of them things where when we're hearing it's being driven by the manager, then it's one of them things where this is why it wasn't to be taken too seriously. And the fact that Ineos said it's probably going to be a loan move means they're not making signings for the manager, and that's news to my ear. You know what I mean? So as I said, yeah, it's one of them things where Ineos have been identifying good players, man, and long may it continue. Big up Lumi. Yeah, as I said, those who say Bruno is the best player are the ones that only watch highlights. So MNO Editor says he has good passes, good pens, good shots, and the only one who goes forward. And MLL Edits, you know what it is now, yeah? It's one of them things where you are entitled to your own opinion, okay? But when I see some of the things that you've put down here, it's very generic based and it's not really saying anything. So he has good passes, good pens, good shots, and the only one who goes forward. So let's break this down, yeah? Let's go on to his penalties. I would say in terms of penalties, and let's not forget, that's just one facet of the game, yeah? In terms of his penalties, yeah, he is a good penalty taker, but he's shooting it out from 5 yards. I think The reason Bruno's good at penalties is because of his mentality in terms of that situation. Yeah. When we're saying when you're saying good passes, I disagree with that massively because Bruno attempts the long ball more times than anyone probably in the league. You know. So what do you deem as a good pass? Because like it doesn't really make sense. He has good passes. Is he a good short passer? Is he good at playing the ball through an eye of a needle? You know, because a lot of the passes that he does are overhit passes. You know, when he doesn't need to, for me. So the good passes one is just generic. The good shots, I'll put that in the good passes. It's not really saying anything. And the only one who goes forward. So what does that actually mean? The only one who goes forward. As I said, you're entitled to your opinion, and it's very hard to kind of conversate with someone that comes out with things like this because it doesn't really, it's not really saying anything. He's the only one who goes forward, but Dallo goes forward when he plays at times. Casemiro will go forward. The front players will go forward. Like the whole thing doesn't make any sense, man. So be a bit more precise in what you're saying because it doesn't make sense. Big up to Yasox as well. So yeah, as Exedra said, so yeah, the Hollywood passes criticism wasn't valid. Yeah, so as I said, Bruno Fernandes in the way that he plays, you know, he's always looking for that Hollywood pass, and a lot of it is done to make himself look good, not really to make the player running onto the ball look better. It's more about himself, and as I said, when we're saying he's got good passes, like it doesn't really make sense to me because like it's like let's differentiate what we mean by good passes because I've seen many a times that he isn't a good passer. His position in the midfield, you know, he's ill-disciplined, you know, and what Bruno does a lot of the time, if you check it, and it might happen against Man City, if Man City go 1-0 up, you watch Bruno get ill-disciplined and start picking the ball up from the left or the right side to try and look for the Hollywood pass. You know, so as I said, man, we can go about this all day. He's got good awareness. Again, you're just MNL edits. I feel I feel what you're doing. You're just putting in comments. Like it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make any sense. He attacks. Yeah, it's just generic stuff. But the best way to describe Bruno Fernandes, yeah, is that Bruno Fernandes, and I'll say this last time now, Bruno Fernandes, when he first came into the club, you know, the fans were excited because Jesse Lingard was playing in that 10 position. Yeah. The fact that people actually think Bruno Fernandes is a number 10 is part of the problem. Bruno Fernandes has never been a number 10. He's actually a number 8. He's a box-to-box midfielder, number 8. So that's one of the problems. People think he's a number 10 when he's not. He's never been a number 10. Secondly, if you watch the games where Solskjaer deployed him as a number 10 behind the striker, he was playing, getting the glory by getting the numbers, whether it was from the penalty spot or getting goals. But if you watch the positions of Bruno Fernandes in the team, the amount of times he vacated the midfield and left the midfield with a lot of work to do, people were ignoring that because it was all about Bruno getting the numbers and getting stats for himself. But to the contributing to the team, he never was doing that. So this is part of the problem. So obviously now we fast forward, you know, he's been made the captain. He's been made the go-to guy. You know, he's on every penalty, every corner, every free kick, plays every minute of every game. And this is why I think people look at Bruno Fernandes as being United's best player. I'd argue he's one of Man United's worst players, you know, because the fact that he's core to this Manchester United team and they've performed the way they have done over these last few years, when are people going to actually wake up and realise that this player is a massive problem? You know, because, as I said, it's all well and good people looking at his numbers, but Man United finished 15th last season, you know. And again, people will tell you, yeah, his numbers, but I watched Man United every game last season, and Bruno didn't play well. You know, I remember people were talking about the Real Sociedad game in Europa League when where was it? It was at Old Trafford when I think Bruno might have got a hat trick. I think they were down to 10 men though. But again, people got excited over that performance, and I did say after that game, I said, do you know what? Let's see what Bruno does in these next 9 games, I believe it was. And those next 9 games, he done absolutely nothing. And people were, when that happened, when Bruno got the hat trick, people were saying, he's the best midfielder in the world, he's the best midfielder in the league, he's this, he's that. And I said, you know what? This is what the problem is with fans. They see one game where Bruno gets a hat trick against 10 man's Real Sociedad, and all of a sudden it's the overhype of the player. And then after that, you saw what was happening. That Europa League final, he was an absolute joke. He was poor. But he's been like that ever since he's come to the club, really. I think he's someone that just gets numbers because, as I said, of the responsibility that he has in the team in terms of free kicks, corners, and penalties. He's allowed to do whatever he wants, but that's not a good thing because that's to the detriment of the team. When you're a player that gets to do whatever you want, you have to be someone of real quality, and which he's not. You look in the Premier League right now, players that have kind of like a free role. Your Jack Grealishes, your Cole Palmers, your trying to think who else is there. Florian Wirtz, even though Wirtz hasn't been great so far, but players like that, Lamine Yamal's, players that are just high on quality, and they're allowed to kind of, influence the game any way they see fit. Bruno isn't that type of player, but yet he's been given that license by previous managers, and this is part of the problem. So when you're saying MNL edits that he's good a passer, he's got good awareness, he's got this, I feel you're just throwing in stuff, you know what I mean, without actually realizing what kind of player he is, And as I said, people actually think he's a number 10, which is laughable, Yeah, big up Exedra, man. So if you watch the shape of the team, Bruno constantly disrupts that by going out of position, and that forces others to come out too. Then you lose the shape. Big reason of why United have failed. 100%, man. Again, his ill discipline, Bruno Fernandes, comes from, and again, I don't really blame. I blame him to an extent, but you have to blame the management, because if you're any manager of any standard, you wouldn't allow a player like that to just be so ill disciplined. And again, he never holds his position. And whenever United, as I said, go 1-0 down or they're chasing the game, you will see him come out of position and start trying to get on other people's toes by trying to take the ball off their foot, and try and spray passes. This is what he does, and Man United just need to get 2 proper central midfield players and get this guy at the team. And I guarantee you, you're going to see the team improve just like that. Because he's a massive problem, and he has been a massive problem for years. I've been saying this for years. He's a massive problem. He's also a massive problem, MNL, if you're still in the chat. He's also a massive problem to certain players, because when you're looking at the midfield 2 in this system, you cannot play Bruno and Kobe together as a midfield 2 in this system. Kobe shouldn't be playing really in a midfield 2 in this system in the first place, because as I keep mentioning, this position requires leadership, experience, and it requires legs. That midfield 2 in the 3-4-2-1. So if this manager keeps shoehorning Bruno into the team in midfield, it means the combination of Kobe and Bruno is not going to work. Yeah. Then you're choosing between Ugarte and Casemiro. Now, Bruno's going to play under this manager, which means you're going to have academy product on the bench in Kobe Mainu, and you're either going to have 60 million Ugarte or 350k a week Casemiro on the bench. Then if you play Bruno in the 10, you're going to have 60 million signing Benjamin Sesko on the bench, or one of your best attackers in Joshua Zirkzee on the bench, or 60 million Mason Mount, who, even though I don't really rate him, number 7 on his back, 250 a week. You're gonna have him on the bench as well. So the biggest thing with Bruno Fernandes is that the fact that he keeps playing and people keep telling you, people keep saying he's United's best player. Ask yourself this question, yeah? Is Bruno Fernandes that good in your mind to be having the likes of Kobe Mainu, Xerxes, Sesko, Mount, Casemiro, or Ugarte all on the bench for him? Because that's what's going on. Because as long as he plays, one of those players are missing out. Because he automatically fills one position. This is the problem. So good position awareness. He's good, has good goals, assists, not really going on that, but goals win you games as well. I'm not making sense because when you watch a player and you play mid yourself, you will know. Yeah, M&L edits. As I said, man, big up yourself for coming through and giving your opinions. But and again, I don't mean this. I don't mean this to be condescending. But the kind of conversations that we have on here are more they're more advanced than what you're saying, because you're just throwing in things here without having any context. So, as I said, man, you're entitled to your opinion, but this is a channel, man, where we're gonna have proper footballing conversations, and what you're putting out here is the way that I see it is quite childish, And again, I don't want to sound condescending, but it sounds childish with the way that you're putting these things out. So, again, man, big up for coming on, but yeah, let's bypass that now. Lumi says, Gav, will you interact much with the chat for Flawless, or should I put my question in now for him? Yeah, listen, Lumi, of course, man. Yeah, so guys, I'm back on at 7:30 with Flawless on the channel. So yeah, 100%, man. We'll get into the chat, man. So yeah, make sure you guys come through and show your support as always. And as I said, yeah, any questions you guys have, obviously I'll go through them, so yeah, listen, just make sure you come through and you give us both your questions and comments as always. Big up to N7 says, man, what do you think why De La Fuente does not select Balde in the Spain squad? You know what it is, N7. Big up, man, for coming through. You know what it is? I'm a massive fan of Alejandro Balde. I think Balde is probably coming back off of injury. And let's not forget as well, obviously I've missed the international football, but I can imagine that the two left backs that he chose would have been Cucurella and probably, was it Grimaldo or Miguel Gutierrez? I'm not sure. But for me, listen, Balde will be back in there, no doubt. I think Balde towards the end of the season was missing because of injury. I am surprised that De La Fuente hasn't picked him if that's what's going on. But listen, he's a top player, man, and top players will always find their way back into the international fold, regardless. So I got no doubts that Balde will be back in there. But listen, Spain have got a very, very good team. I heard that they absolutely destroyed who they play. I heard Marino got a hat-trick. I think Lumi be happy with that one. But by all accounts, I heard that they dominated the game. But yeah, listen, as I said, yeah, Balde will be back in the Spain squad, man. He's a player that I would love to have at Man United, but Barca are not going to sell him after he's come through the academy. But why De La Fuente doesn't select him, only he would know that. But what I will tell you, they've got one of the best left backs in Europe, and that's Marc Cucurella. Again, another player that come through La Masia. And how crazy it is, yeah. You've got 3 left backs at Barcelona, that's been in the Spain squad, that all come through La Masia in Balde, Cucurella, and Grimaldo. So it just shows you, man, that Barcelona's production line is absolutely crazy. But yeah, listen, as I said, I rate Balde highly. If it was my choice, my two left backs would be Balde and Cucurella. Again, you're leaving out Gutierrez and Grimaldo, who are two very, very good left backs. I think Grimaldo's more of a left wing back in where he's been playing for by Leverkusen. But yeah, I think Spain's squad is stacked, man. Let's be honest. Their squad is stacked of players. So yeah, listen. I rate Balde, man. I think he'll find his way back in that squad, not before long. Big up to Whaley Matumba as well. Big up. Big up to IXC as well. Guys, come on, let's get them likes up. Only 6 likes. Let's at least hit 10 as a minimum today. 10 as a minimum. Come on, get the likes up. Just one smash of the button. And as always, make sure you sub to the channel as well if you're new in there. MNL Edit says, sell Mount then. You know what the funny thing is though, yeah? I don't rate Mount or Bruno, you know? But if I'm honest with you, I would rather have Mount than have Bruno. That's the honest truth. Because Mount, for me, is more adept at keeping the ball. You know, I think he's more disciplined as well. And as I said, he's younger than Bruno as well. The only thing that Bruno has over Mount, really, you would say, is the numbers. And as I said, I think I wouldn't have either one of them, but I would have Mount over Bruno. So I think Mount's actually a better footballer. But the thing with Mount, put it this way, if Mount never had number 7 on his back, 250 a week, and cost 60 mil, I wouldn't have a problem with Mount being a squad player. I wouldn't. You know, if he could come in every now and again, you know, for a couple of games. But the fact that he's got all those free, and the manager is shoehorning him into the team now as well, that's where I have the problem. You know, so yeah, it is what it is. So I'm a Man United supporter, man. El Fabiano. Is that El Fabiano? Luis Fabiano? If you know, you know. So Broderick says, can't be having another Bruno combo in 2025. He's dead food. Move on. Yeah, bro, listen, Broderick, man. I didn't want to get drawn into this Bruno conversation because I'm bored of it, you know. The guy's a false image. That's it. And obviously, on the thumbnail, I did mention him, but it's more about the Saudis coming back in for him. And again, he should have been gone at the start of this summer. And this is why, yeah. When I actually think about it now, and again, I didn't really take this in too much. When I think about it, even though Ineos made the wrong decision in, you know, putting the power in Bruno and Amarim's hand to keep Bruno there, I think that was poor personally. But the way that I look at it now, they're probably thinking, right, you wanted to keep Bruno Fernandes, so you can't complain now that you haven't got money to go and buy a midfielder because that was your choice to keep Bruno Fernandes. So I think personally now, they've probably looked at it thinking, right, let's see what you've got with you're meant to be a good coach. Let's see what you can coach with these players. And I think it's quite smart because there's no doubting if Bruno would have been moved on, Baleba would have probably been here already. You know, United probably would have got a couple of midfielders in. But the fact that this manager wanted to keep Bruno Fernandes and then had the cheek to say he needs another midfielder, well, you've got a midfielder that you're not really using because of this system, really. And then you've got a Casemiro and Bruno, who between them, and you can include Mount in there as well, who between them are on about £1 million a week. So let's see what you can do, Amarim. So I think they're kind of forcing Amarim's hand to see what he's got in the locker. And to be honest with you, I don't think he's got much. So as I said, the fact that Bruno wasn't sold is a massive problem. But what I will say is Saudi coming back in for him, you know, I would hope that's the case in January, if I'm honest. I hope Saudi come in for him in January and United just take the money, because I think now we're probably looking at the fact that I don't see United getting 100 mil for Bruno again. I think we're more or less looking at 70 mil, I'd probably say, for Bruno Fernandes. I think the fact that, he's now 31 as well. If Saudi come in with 100 mil, again, I'll be very surprised. But yeah, I think 70 mil is what they're gonna be looking at to get for him, in my opinion. So yeah, it's one of them things. It's one of them things. But it's tiring talking about this player because this player does divide opinion, and the proof is there, man. I couldn't give a shit about his numbers. That's the honest truth. I don't care how many goals he's got. I don't care how many assists he's got. Ultimately, when it matters, he never steps up. In the big games, in the finals, and ultimately his numbers have contributed to nothing in the end. That's the honest truth. That is the honest truth. His numbers have contributed to absolutely nothing in the end for Man United. There's no surprise since he's been captain. They've recorded their lowest ever finishes as well. Again, it's not all on him, but he plays the majority of every game. And he's the captain. So a lot of the issues are gonna fall with him, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm tired of the Bruno talk, and I just hope January we can just finally move on from this player, man, because it is frustrating. And again, you're gonna see the team go up, in quality and just in how they're gonna perform throughout the season once this player's gone. Because when you've got a player like this that just dominates everything in the team, it's not a good thing. And he's a player that dominates everything, which isn't meant to be for a kind of player that he is. If you know what I mean. So yeah, is what it is, man. So MNL Edit says United suck now, but will get better. Well, they'll get better under a new manager. That's a start. Because as I said, I don't care what anyone says. When you've got Ahmad playing at wing back, he's playing Brian Mbeumo as a 10. And again, people don't actually realize this. People actually probably think that Brian Mbeumo is playing in his position. And there's a reason why Mbeumo and Ahmad don't work on that side. Because Ahmad's an actual number 10 who wants to come in field. Mbeumo is a winger that starts off infield. So Mbeumo and Ahmad are in the opposite positions, and that's another problem. So a new manager coming in, different formation, different system, you're gonna get better. You're gonna get better performances, no doubt. And as I said, I want to see a 4-2-3-1 with Ahmad in the 10, Mbeumo on the right, Cunha on the left, and then Xerxes the striker. I would love to see that 4 and see how we get on. And then that's where Kobe Minu comes back into contention, because it's a different responsibility, different role in there. Imagine him next to a Casemiro in that midfield, with Ahmad in the 10. I want to see these things. I'm sick and tired of seeing the same old things from this manager. And as I said, it's producing really no results. I don't want people looking at the Burnley game thinking, yeah, United got the win in the end, because I didn't watch the full game. But if we're looking at that Burnley game and being satisfied with that, that's a massive issue for me. Massive, massive issue. So yeah, let's see what happens. So El Fabiano Kid says Amarim out. Listen, he's got 5 games, as I said. He's got 5 games until he's got 5 games until the pressure ramps up. As I said, the first 3 games weren't. I mean, he's got a win, a loss, and a draw. But I think these next 5 games, and guys, again, big up yourselves for your votes in the poll that I done in terms of how many points Amarim needs to get. Let me know from these next 5 games how many points you think Amarim needs. Because for me, I think he needs a minimum of 8. 8 points, which is 2 wins and 2 draws at least. And I don't think that's too much to ask from. He needs at least 2 draws from City, Chelsea and Man City, City, Chelsea and Liverpool. And then the 2 wins has to be against Brentford and Sunderland. You know, I think 8 points as a minimum is more than enough for him to survive. You know, if he gets 8 points in the next 5 games, I'll be like, do you know what? That's fair enough, man. Like, you can't really complain with that. But if he gets anything less than 8, you know, Ineos should be looking at, you know, removing him for definite, you know. So, and as Xedra said already, he should have been sacked last season. He should have been. The fact that they kept him in charge is absolutely laughable. But again, there's no point being frustrated over that anymore because they made their decision and he's still here, just like just like the international break that's just finished now. So all we can look at is these next 5 games, and these next 5 games are going to be crucial for what's really going on this season. And the thing is, they're 5 tough games. You got 3 tough games there in City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, and then you've got 2 games in there against Sunderland and Brentford. You know, a newly promoted team. You know, a team that's lost half their best players. So you would think to yourself, these are going to be the games for Amorim and for United that are going to test him. So there's no hiding from these 5 games. And as I said, if he doesn't get 8 points as a minimum, he has to go. He has to go. So starting with Man City on Sunday in the Manchester derby. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So Lumi says, according to Carragher, him being good looking has kept him in the job. Boy, I'm not sure about that, man. But what I will say, the way that he talks to a lot of fans, you know, a lot of fans just loved it, are in love with the way he talks. He's not really saying anything, really. Let's be honest, man. And I think the fact that people seem to be hung up on the way that he talks, for me, is part of the problem. Because, again, the facts are there. You know, United had a 23.5% win ratio under this manager. Obviously, against Burnley, it's slightly gone up now. I think they've had 8 wins in the Premier League in his tenure, in 30 odd games, I think, in the Premier League. Yeah, so again, we all know the stats, you know what I mean? And it's one of them things where he should have definitely been have been sacked. But again, I'm just more tired and fed up with hearing with just seeing this manager personally. You know, as I said, when Amorim when Amorim lost that final, that's when I lost it, because there's no excuse for losing that Europa League final. You know, as bad as Ten Hag was, you know, Ten Hag would have won that final. He would have, with that Man United team against Tottenham. So, and again, the Grimsby game, setting up with 5 at the back against Grimsby, like criminal, you know. So, yeah, as I said, man, it's one of them things where I'm deflated in the sense that I thought he was going to go in the international break. But now it's about getting over that and just seeing these next 5 games. And as I said, man, I'll be paying close attention to these 5 games and seeing what is really going on, you know. But yeah, listen, the fact that he's kept his job, whether it's because they think he's good looking or whatever, for me, it's because he's very emotional, and the way he talks, he can he probably is relating to a lot of fans. But for me, he's not clever. I just think he's playing a good game. That's been and he's fooling a lot of fans, but he's not fooling me. So, as I said, I don't buy into what Amorim does. The facts are, this system's shit. His player profiling is shit. The points accumulation that he's got is shit. The wins that he's got since he's become manager are shit. Everything he's done is shit. That's a fact. So, yeah. And as I said, these 5 games, let's see. Eminent says, "Can you do a stream with expressions or rants? I would love. I would love to see it." Yeah, listen, man. Obviously, rants and bants is one of the ones that I've watched from the beginning. And the funny thing is, me and Rants have had a very similar footballing career. You know, I believe he used to play for um, Fulham and Brentford, I believe. Obviously, I was at Chelsea and Tottenham, and again, a lot of the some of the players that I was at Chelsea are actually from his actual area. So yeah, me and him have had a very similar footballing experience, and again, he's one of the very few people that I actually watch on YouTube, along with Flawless as well. And obviously, I got Flawless coming on today at 7:30. But yeah, Ransom Flawless are the two that I watch the most in terms of other content creators. You know, Expressions for me is another one that I watch. I watch more Expressions for his entertainment, because I don't think there's a better entertainer on this in this YouTube space than Expressions. You know, the guy is just too funny. And as I said, obviously him and Rants are brothers as well. But yeah, as I said, I think him and Expressions are, yeah, they're two of the content creators out there, you know, that have a lot about themselves, you know, in terms of Rants and his football knowledge and where he's been, etc. And Expressions being an entertainer and obviously being a Tottenham fan as well. So yeah, man, I'd love to do a stream with them one time. But again, those people are busy and they've got their own channels to create, just like what I'm doing now, man. So as I said, the fact that I'm getting Flawless on is good, because as I said, he's someone that I have watched. But in terms of my footballing career, and I don't think there's too many people on YouTube that have had the footballing career that I've had, in terms of where I've been, where I've played, etc., and who I've played against. But I think Rants might be one of them. So, well, in actual fact, I think he is one of them. So, yeah. But yeah, two guys that I do respect highly in the YouTube space, in the YouTube space, that I've been watching for time. So yeah, big up. Um, Mark Goldbridge. No, I don't watch that guy, man. I think he does that. Is it United Stand? I think he does. No, I don't watch that guy. Listen, by all accounts, you know, he's built a massive channel. But again, I remember seeing that program, that United Stand, from the very beginning, and the likes of Rants, even Saeed, who was on there, Aaron, I think it was Sophie on there as well. Who else was on there? There was a few others on there as well. They're the ones that built the channel to what it was, in my opinion, because when they were doing their fan cams and that, they were making the channel bigger than what it was. And obviously they all parted ways for their own reasons. But in terms of just watching that guy, I don't really listen to him, to be honest with you. You know, I stopped watching it when the likes of Rants and them stopped going on there. So yeah, you won't catch me watching that, man. But yeah, listen, these guys are putting the work in to grow their channels, and it can only be respected. Let's be honest. El Fabiano Kid says, if you think about all the world-class players United have bought and they haven't performed, this scary. But again, a lot of it isn't down to the players necessarily. A lot of it's down to the environment that's been created. You know, because if you create an environment where these players are allowed to thrive, you know, yeah, if you create an environment where a lot of these players are allowed to thrive, then as I said, you'll get more consistent and better performances out of these players. You know, if you look at Man United over the last few years, is that Sesko? Great goal. Just watching a clip of Sesko. Great touch, great finish. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, if you look at a lot of the players that have come to United, yeah, they haven't been given the platform to showcase their quality for me. But as I said, it's still there's still time to change it, you know what I mean? Because I do believe under Ineos, you know, they are starting to put things in place so that better players that do come in, you know, they are ready to kind of take their careers to the next level in a sense, you know. But yeah, as I said, man, I'm just, for me, my main focus is this manager, because this manager has done so much wrong, and this system is just not getting the best out of certain players. So this is where my energy is at, to be honest with you, you know. Big up to Crawley Eagle. Says, who's the best ever free kick taker? Do you know what? Yeah, that's a good question. For me, three of them come to mind. And again, this might go over a few people's heads because you might not know some of these players, yeah. But one, I'm gonna say there's a Brazilian midfielder called Juninho Pernambucano, formerly of Lyon. I think he has to be up there. David Beckham for sure. So Juninho Pernambucano, David Beckham. I mean, people can say Ward-Prowse, but if anyone remembers, I think it's a guy called Sinisa Mihailovic. He was very good. Again, if you guys have got other players that you think, then put that in the chat. I just see a message. Gav would be unsackable with those shoulders. Do you know what? Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I do work shoulders quite a bit, man. So, now it's good to see that you guys are noticing it. But yeah, listen. I would love to shoulder the responsibility of being a manager for Man United. If I could ever have the chance, you know, that would be great. But obviously, that's never gonna happen, you know. But so yeah, Juninho Pernambucano, Beckham, Mihailovic. Ronaldinho was a very good free kick to take her as well. I can't think top of my head. There's probably more. If you guys know any others, then put that in the chat. Big up to G3 Edits from Indonesia. Big up. Big up to Kirk's Crusty Kipper says, just entered the 4-2-3-1. It's crazy Amarim won't adapt and try new things. Yeah, big up to Kirk's. I think the problem is, Kirk, yeah, is that this 4-2-3, this 4-2-3-1 formation, the reason that I want to see this formation be played is because the fact that Mbeumo's here now, if you want to play Mbeumo and Ahmad in the same team, Ahmad is actually a number 10. So just play Ahmad in the 10, Mbeumo as a right winger in his position, Cunha from the left, and then you play Joshua Zirkzee. And again, these players can all interchange as well. You know, if you want to interchange Ahmad and Cunha in the 10 or whatever, you know, or interchange Zirkzee into the 10 and then let Cunha go up top or whatever. Listen, it's about being adaptable. So these players can all interchange, which is why I want to see the 4-2-3-1. The fact is this manager plays this system, we're having to get our heads around the fact that Amad Diallo is a wingback. Amad's never been a wingback. As I said the other day, Tony Mowbray, former manager of Sunderland, he actually come out of a quote and saying that when he had Ahmad at Sunderland, Ahmad was a genius with the ball at his feet. And he goes, to just play him as a wingback to fit him into the system is crazy. And he's 100% spot on. And again, I've been saying this from the very beginning. The fact that we have to watch Ahmad play as a wingback, it just tells you really that Ruben Amorim is not a good manager, because there's no excuse to be playing Ahmad as a wingback. No excuse. So this is why I want a different manager, because the next manager that comes in is not going to play this three at the back formation. You're going to play a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3, and get your best players in their best positions on the pitch. Simple as. Lumi says, best free kick was Roberto Carlos. Yeah, listen, that free kick was crazy. But I think the question was, who's the best free kick taker ever? But that was definitely one of the best ever free kicks I've seen. Definitely. Yeah, I remember that against France, where the ball started out there and then just curled round. So, yeah, listen, man, top player, Berto Carlos, man. If anyone see the size of his legs, man, there's no doubt. There was no surprise why he scored that goal, man. The guy's legs were massive, you know. That's where the power comes from. Declan Rice. All right. Yeah, I knew Lumi would come out of that one. Declan Rice. Not Brett May says, can see Haaland scoring a brace to win 3-0. I mean, I wouldn't bet against it. I mean, he scored, what, 5 goals in his last international break. I know it was against Moldova. But again, you still have to put the ball in the back of the net. But yeah, listen, man, I'm not with the opinion that United are gonna win this game. I just don't see it under this manager. And I think Pep won't want to lose 3 games in a row. Never done it in his career before. I think if Man United were at home, I'd be more confident with the form that City have been showing that United could actually get a win. I think the fact that they're away from home and City will be in front of their fans, they've lost back-to-back games. They're not going to be wanting to, you know, make it free. So again, Ruben Amorim hasn't won back-to-back games. What's his name? Pep hasn't lost 3 games in a row. So again, we're going to see what happens. You know, if it's a draw, it's a draw. But yeah, something's on the line there. So Lumi reckons 7 points is a minimum. Now, I think 8, Lumi. I think 8 because I'm looking at the fact that United are away to City, who are not in great form, and they're at home against Chelsea. You know, if you can get 2 points against those 2 teams, put it this way, yeah? They're playing City and Chelsea back-to-back, yeah? If United pick up 2 points in that game against Chelsea and City, and then they go and beat Brentford and Sunderland back-to-back, I'll be like, do you know what? That's decent. And then the Liverpool game, for me, will be like a free swing. If they can get a point against Liverpool or even beat them, then I'll be like, do you know what? For those 5 games, I didn't see it, but fair enough. But this is where the test is going to be, you know, starting on Sunday. But so that's why I'm saying 8 points for me is a minimum. So Zedra reckons 10 points. See, for me, I think 10 points. I think 10 points. You know, I'm gonna be fair. You know what I mean? I do think 10 points is a bit difficult, I would say, in 5 games. Reason being is because that would mean he's got to beat City, Chelsea, or Liverpool. You know, or sorry, that would mean he's got to beat either one of City, Chelsea, or Liverpool, and then pick up a point against either one of them teams, which I think is going to be difficult. So yeah, what I would say is I think 8 points is fair. I mean, if they was to get 10 points, then yeah, I mean, how can you argue with that? But yeah, I think I think 8 points is fair, man. I think 10 points is a bit unrealistic, I would say. You know, but again, if he was to beat Man City, let's say, or Chelsea, then you're giving yourself a very good chance, because that means the Sunderland and Brentford game, if you pick up 6 points there, you're almost you've almost done that. So yeah, that would be decent. Gav, I think United's best form will come November/December when other teams get a bit tired playing twice a week. Yeah, Lumi, I hear that. But you know what? I don't think Amorim lost to that time. I don't think he makes November. That's what I'm trying to say. Because these next 5 games, what are we in now, September? These next 5 games are tough games. And as I said, I don't think he makes it then. So let's just focus on those 5 games and see. The best free kick I've ever seen is Neymar's in the massive 6-1 comeback against PSG. Yeah, listen, I remember watching that game, yeah, and Neymar was instrumental in that game. You know, the thing is, Messi was ridiculous in that season, and I believe he's at the season. Nah, I could be wrong. No, I was about to say is that the season where he got the 91 calendar goals, but I don't think he did. But Messi was unplayable in that season, but Neymar was instrumental in them coming back against PSG. You know, he scored that free kick. I believe he's the one that played the ball in as well for Sergi Roberto's goal, if I remember. I think it was him who played that ball in for Sergi Roberto's goal off his left foot. But yeah, what a player, man. I don't think people are actually going to realize how good Neymar was until he retires. Like, the amount of disrespect Neymar gets is absolutely criminal. It's criminal, really, when you actually think about it. Because this is a player, you know, that if he wasn't in the era of Messi and Ronaldo, this is a player that wins about 6 or 7 Ballon d'Ors easily. There was no one near him as a footballer. You know, Messi and Ronaldo were there because of numbers, because of popularity, the fact they were both at 2 of the biggest clubs in the world, you know, and obviously their teams were winning league titles or Champions Leagues. So this is why they were seen as ahead of Neymar. But in terms of talent, Messi and Neymar were alone, really. Even Eden Hazard is up there as well for me, you know. But yeah, listen, man, what a player. And he was instrumental in that as well. Didn't know that about Rants, to be honest. Flawless like me does like a little bit of Stiller. Yeah, listen. Yeah, I think Rants had a similar career to me, Exedra. I think he was in the academy of Fulham and Brentford, you know, if I remember rightly. As I said, yeah, I was at Chelsea and Tottenham at the time. So I think I'm actually a year older than Rants as well, I believe. So but yeah, listen, as I said, in this space of YouTube, I don't know if there's too many players that have had a similar career to myself in terms of football, in terms of who I've played for and where I've played, etc. I'm not too sure, but I know Rants is definitely one of them, as I said. And yeah, listen, Stiller. I think it was you that got me into Stiller. The thing is, I do like Stiller. I do like him. I'm just looking at Baleba. I think Baleba ticks so many boxes, and he's my. I mean, I would love Eduardo Camavinga. Camavinga's my first choice, even above Baleba. But I just don't know if that's possible. You know, if I was the head at United, are turning their attentions to Camavinga, you know, listen, I'll be over the moon because for me, he's one of the best players in the world in a position when he's fit. So I would love that, but again, there's been no talk of that really. Big up to Chris and Mark. Big up, guys. Guys, come on, 11 likes. That's poor. Come on, let's up the likes and smash the sub to the channel as well. Big up to Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team. Big up for coming through. Oh, Perlo. MNL Edits. MNL Edits, big up, man. You finally come in there with a decent comment. Nah, I'm only joking, man. Yeah, listen, Perlo. Perlo can be another one. I think it's difficult because there were so many good frigate takers. You know, Perlo's definitely one of them. You know, I'm trying to look at the Premier League. Who was an outstanding one? I mean, someone's already mentioned Ward-Prowse. Zola. Yeah, Zola. I was actually at Chelsea when Zola was there, actually, funny enough. But Zola was a great player. Trying to think, I'm pretty sure there's more. Who else is there? Premier League. It's mad, man, because it just skips your mind. Skips your mind. If you guys have any other players, make sure you put that in the chat. So Jorginho, who played in France, was the original G at free kicks. Jorginho. No. Chris and Mark, you're thinking of Juninho. That's what I said. Yeah, I said that earlier. So Juninho Pernambucano, who was at Lyon. Yeah, I mentioned him earlier. So yeah, he's probably one of the best free takers I've seen as well. Yeah, big up to Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team. Says Bruno should have left Man United for Saudi. It would have been a better for him, for Man United than him. I agree. I agree. Better for his bank balance and better for the club, Man United. Now listen, before Kai Havertz left by Leverkusen, before when he was at Bayer Leverkusen, I was a massive fan of Havertz. You know, as a number 10, I thought Havertz was going to be, you know, one of the best young up and coming attacking midfielders. You know, and then when he went to Chelsea, they started playing him more as a 9, and now he's at Arsenal. So, but yeah, listen, when he first left by Leverkusen, he was someone of real talent. I think now he's just for me, he's just a good player. But I just can't get to grips that he's a striker now. It's just odd to see. Because for me, he's always been a number 10. But again, he's playing more as a forward now, which is a bit crazy to see. I know at times at Bayer Leverkusen, he was playing as a false 9 as well. But I've always seen Havertz as a number 10. But I think it's quite safe to say now he's a forward now. So Zedro says he absolutely must win against one of the 3 in the Chelsea, Liverpool, City. Yeah, do you know what it is? Yeah, I think because it's Chelsea, Liverpool, and City, and all 3 of those teams you would expect will be battling for the top 3 positions. This is why, like, you know, if he does get draws against them, it's not the end of the world. But it would mean that he's got to beat Brentford and Sunderland. Put it this way, yeah. If he was to get beat by Chelsea and Man City, for me, he would have to go and beat Sunderland, Brentford, and Liverpool now. That's the way that I'm seeing it, you know, because for me, I'm looking at the Man City game. Because if Man City, he gets a draw, you know, and then against Chelsea, you know, if he gets a draw against City, beats Chelsea, you know, you'd expect him to beat Brentford and Sunderland. And then the Liverpool game for me will be a free hit in a sense. So yeah, but a lot of it starts from that though for me. You know, seeing how he gets on in that game against Man City. Yeah, I see that today. Chelsea facing 74 charges of breaching FA rules. Crazy that. Somehow I think they'll get off of it though. You know what I mean? So, but let's see what happens there. Wanyeri is getting overshadowed by Dalman. But again, I did tell you that. I said, if I'm Wanyeri, I don't sign a new contract, but I go on loan and prove my worth. The fact that he signed a new contract and all of a sudden he's seen Dalman come from nowhere, and Dalman's arguably ahead of him in the pecking order now. I'd argue that with anyone because the fact that Eze's there now, the fact that Madueke, you know, was bought in for 52 million. That's 2 players above Wanyeri automatically, just because of the fee and on both players. Then you've got Martinelli, who's on 180 on the left. He's ahead of him. Trossard's just signed a new contract. He's ahead of him. Odegaard's the captain. He's ahead of him. Saka's an automatic starter. He's ahead of him. And Dalman's the young gun that's just come through. So again, in all the positions that Wanyeri could potentially play, obviously he won't play left wing, but I just thought I mentioned him anyway. But in the 10 and on the right, he's probably the last option. That's crazy to think because in terms of talent, he's probably as talented as any one of them. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that he's last choice and he signed a new contract, I think that's poor judgment for me personally from Wanyeri and his camp to sign a new contract. So I wonder what happens there. I think he's a top player in the Wanyeri, but big up to William Silbury. Yeah, big up. Guys, come on, 11 likes and there's 10 of you. Let's smash the like button and make sure you sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. I'm going to be back at 7:30, guys, as well with Flawless. So make sure you guys tune in then as well. And guys, big up to yourselves as well for interacting with the votes on the on my most recent, best Manchester United five-a-side team from all the players. So again, my team, I had Peter Schmeichel in goal. The reason I went for Schmeichel, commanding goalkeeper, aggressive, and a leader at the back there as well. My defender was I was torn between Jaap Stam and Rio Ferdinand, but I went for Jaap Stam because Jaap Stam very good in possession, aggressive. He's a fighter, very good defender, and I think he's someone, especially in a five-a-side team, you need a defender like that. My two midfielders, again, I had Paul Scholes in there, yeah, and for me, Paul Scholes, I was torn between Scholes and Pogba. And I'll tell you why. Because Paul Scholes, in terms of him being able to dictate play, and keep the ball, would be crucial. The reason I went for Pogba is because Pogba in possession is very good. He's also good in 1v1s. He also has the physicality and he can also get up and down the pitch, and will be a goal threat. So that's the reason why I went for Pogba over Scholes, purely because of, for me, Paul Pogba has everything. And in a five-a-side, you need players that are going to be good in 1v1 situations to use to use the ball manipulation and get shots off. And I think Paul Scholes would conduct the game, but Pogba, for me, can do that and do more, which is why I went for him. Wayne Rooney, I went for as well. I think Wayne Rooney was an easy one. I was torn between Rooney and Ronaldo. And the reason I went for Rooney is because Wayne Rooney's fighting spirit, his never say die attitude, up and down the pitch, his aggressiveness as well to win the ball back would be crucial in five-a-side. So I think that he would fit that kind of player where you need a bit of everything. And then the striker for me was difficult because I was torn between... Well, the thing is, I was torn between a few. I want to give homage to Louis Saha, to Dwight York, Andy Cole. I want to pay homage to all them because they all didn't make it. But I was torn between Carlos Tevez, Van Persie, Van Nistelrooy, Eric Cantona, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And again, it was difficult because I originally said Eric Cantona because of what Eric Cantona meant to me growing up. And it was hard because I don't want to leave out any one of them players because they're all top players. But I eventually went for Ibra purely because Ibra's a leader. He's aggressive. He's got a great touch. He's strong. And he's skillful. I just think playing Ibra in that five-a-side team as your target man, he can do a bit of everything that all those other players would offer, in a sense. So that's why I went for him. But it was difficult. So I think that team there takes some beating of Schmeichel, Stam, Pogba, Rooney, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic as a starting five. And again, if you want to have your bench options, then fair enough. But my starting five, I'm confident that that team doesn't get beat, personally. But yeah, guys, if you haven't voted on that, make sure you go onto my posts and give me your five. There's been some good fives in there. Again, there's loads of players that we've probably missed out as well. But it's not easy, man. It's not easy to pick. Even Michael Carrick as a midfielder. But yeah, I couldn't look past Pogba, man, for me. Roy Keane, another one. So many great players, Giggs, Beckham, that you're leaving out. But that's why it's difficult. But the team that I picked, Schmeichel, Stam, Pogba, Rooney, and Ibrahimovic, I think that's solid for me. I think that is solid as a five-a-side team. Oh, Dimitri Payet. Big up to MNL Edits. Yeah, listen, MNL Edits, I'm starting to change my mind on you now. You know, you was coming in with the crazy Bruno Fernandes praise, but all of a sudden now you've turned it around, man. Dimitri Payet. How did I forget Dimitri Payet? I think Payet has to be up there. He does. Dimitri Payet, man. You know what it is now, yeah? If we're looking at players that come to the Premier League for a short amount of time and just prove to be one of the best players in the league or best players ever, he has to be up there. I'm sorry. He was, and this is for West Ham, by the way, not for one of the top teams, for West Ham. He was unplayable, Dimitri Payet. The guy had so much ability, it was scary. And I look at two players in Luis Suarez and Dimitri Payet, two players that weren't there for a long time in the Premier League, but should go down as two of the best ever to play in the Premier League because of what they've done in single seasons for me. Because, yeah, Dimitri Payet was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Big up to MNL Edits, man. You've brought it back round. Gav, where do you think Arsenal's backup team would finish in the Premier League? So Arsenal's bench team, where would they finish? Mid-table, probably. Yeah, mid-table. Someone said John Onorisa as well. Yeah, he had a rocket of a left foot. Yeah, Lumi, the thing is, you're not selling Trossard. He signed a new contract, apparently, so he ain't going anywhere. Yeah, listen, I've seen, 74 charges of breaching FA rules. Let's see what happens there. I don't know why, but I think they'll get away with it. We've seen these things before. So Arsenal, so Van der Sar, Stam, Rooney and Pogba, CR7. Yes, that's very similar to my team. Just a difference of Schmeichel and in for Van der Sar and Ibra for CR7. So yeah, listen, I think whatever team anyone picks is going to be strong. But yeah, whatever team anyone picks is going to be strong. But I think my team takes some beating. I think it's got literally everything. Yeah, listen, Zedra, bro, I'm a massive fan of Scholes, man. I think Scholes was ridiculous. But as I said, I'm looking at it purely because if I put Scholes in, that means you've got to take out either Rooney or Pogba. And I think Rooney has to be in there for so many different reasons because of what the team would need. And Pogba can do what Scholes does and more in terms of the 1v1s, the skill, the physicality as well. So, yeah, that's why I picked him above Scholes, man. But, again, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. Yeah, big up to Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team. Big up, man. Rasmus Højlund, Yeah, listen, Louis Saha was ridiculous. Louis Saha, ex-Fulham striker as well. He was ridiculous. But the striker in my team is difficult because I'm leaving out Van Persie. I'm leaving out Van Nistelrooy. Eric Cantona. Carlos Tevez as well. But But Ibra for me, Eric, yeah. But Ibra for me, he had to be in there for me, man. Just for so many different reasons. Nah, Chrism, man. Listen, there's no way that team's getting rolled over. I refuse to hear that, man. That team don't get beat. Guys, if you think you've got a better team than the 5 that I said, put it in the chat because, you know, I just don't see my team getting beat. You know, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Not one bit. I'm confident. Yeah, Payet was a player, man. So, Raya, Saliba, Rice, Saka, Gyökeres. Nah, listen, Lumi. I'm glad you put LOL there because, yeah, that's a that's a prison sentence. That to say that Raya, Saliba, Rice, Saka, Gyökeres would beat my team. No way would that happen. I wouldn't take not one of them players above mine. Not one of them. Not one of them. So you reckon your bench gets top 4? Yeah, you're smoking something today, Lumi. I can tell. There's no way that team gets top 4. No way. No way. Your bench is what? Madueke. Let's go for your bench actually. Who you got? So you've got Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. You've got Ben White right back. Mosquito centre back with Hincapié. Left back might as well say Lewis Skelly now. Norgard. Marino. Might as well put Eze in there because Odegaard plays in there when he's fit. Trossard on the left, probably. Madueke. And then Havertz. Yeah, there's no way that team's getting top 4. I'm sorry, man. That's a mid-table team there. Maybe ninth. Maybe ninth. But there's no way that's top 4. No way. And I've not even put in the likes of... And obviously you've got Dalman, you've got Wanyeri, you've got a few others that are not regulars. But yeah, there's no way that team gets top 4. No way. Right, guys, we're going to wrap up in a bit. So go through a few more of your last questions or comments. Yeah, Zico was very good. He was a very good taker. Czech, Kante, Lamps, Hazard, Drogba will be a good team. Kante, as you don't need height in a 5-a-side. Czech, Kante, Lamps, Hazard, Drogba. That's a decent team, to be fair. That is decent. But, yeah, listen. My team ain't getting beat, man. I'll tell you that for free. But that is actually a good team. That's a decent team. You know, I'd probably take out Lampard. But again, Lampard's a goal threat. But I think Lampard... Who would you swap him with? Again, he hasn't got to be players from the same era. It could be players that are playing now. Which just shows you how bad United are because I couldn't make a case for any players now getting into the Man United best 5. Lumi, you know what? You always come up with the good questions. I'm glad you've done this because this is going to be very difficult, yeah? But I'm going to answer it anyway. MNL Edit says, Van der Sar, Vidic, Pogba, CR7, Rooney. That's decent, but could be stronger. I wouldn't have... Vidic was a great defender, but in 5-a-side, I wouldn't have him ahead of Stam or Rio, purely because with 5-a-side, you got to think of, you know, you got to be good on the ball. And if you've got a defender that isn't good on the ball, you can't build attacks, and it'll keep breaking down. So Stam and Rio can play from the back. So yeah, that's why I wouldn't have Vidic there. Gav, what's your Barca 5-a-side? You know what? Yeah, I hate questions like this because it's gonna mean I'm leaving players out. Yeah. Put it this way, yeah, I'm gonna tell you my 5-a-side team, and I'm gonna include a bench because I'm going to be leaving out players that I don't want to, yeah? So in goal, I'd have Marc-Andre ter Stegen in goal. My centre-back, This is difficult. My centre back would be. See, I'm stuck between three of them. I'm stuck between Carlos Puyol, Gerard Piqué, or Ronald Arroyo. This is tough. I'm gonna say Ronald Arroyo because he's aggressive, leader, good on the ball as well. Nah, you know what it is? I was thinking Puyol, but Puyol wasn't great on the ball. And my defenders need to be good on the ball because the way I want to play, you know, we're gonna need to be able to build up from the back. So I'm gonna say Ronald Arroyo. Now this is where it gets difficult. You know what? I actually hate these. I actually hate this. I'm gonna surprise a few of you as well, yeah? Actually, no, I'm not. This is difficult. You know what? Is it a team I'll go for, yeah? And just to get just pure quality and attackers on the pitch, yeah? So Ronald Arroyo as a defender, and then the other three, just give me Messi, Neymar, and Iniesta, and let them. Oh my God, Ronaldinho. Oh God, this is difficult, guys. You know what? I'm skipping this. I ain't gonna do it because yeah, I'm skipping it, man. Busquets as well. Nah, you know what? I'm skipping it. I'm not doing this. Yeah, I can't do this, man. There's too many quality players I'm leaving out. Yeah, there's too many quality players I'm leaving out. Yeah, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah, Lumi, great question, but let's scrap that one because I just thought, man, if Ronaldinho has to be in there, but that means I've got to leave out Iniesta. That means I've got to leave out Pedri, Yamal. Because for me, if Ronaldinho's there, I'm going to say Ronaldinho, Neymar, and Messi. But then I'm leaving out Busquets. I'm leaving out Iniesta, David Villa, another one. Yeah, let's scrap this. Let's scrap this. Let's scrap this, man. I'm not doing that. I'd rather do a 7-a-side team or 11-a-side. You know what I mean? But let's scrap the 5-a-side because it's too difficult. Way too difficult. But big up, man. Great question. Yeah, Henry, man. But Henry wasn't the same Henry at Barcelona as he was at Arsenal. You know, David Villa is one of my favorite ever players as well. What a player David Villa was. Again, if David Villa was in this era of football, like he'd be the best player in the world. Like he was that good. Listen, Barca could do 3, maybe 4. You know, because you could have, again, keep it to the side. You could have Puyol as one defender. Then you might want to play Dani Alves in there, Xavi or Busquets, Iniesta. So you're picking between Puyol, Piqué, you know, Dani Alves, Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, Ronaldinho, Neymar, Suarez, Yamal, Pedri. There's even players I probably forgot about as well. Ivan Rakitic. If anyone knows about Ivan Rakitic, what a player he was. Even Jordi Alba. Like, there's so many quality they had. Romario, Rivaldo. Yeah, listen. Guys, the more I talk about it, the more angry I'm getting. Because how can I leave out Rivaldo? Like, yeah, let's move on, guys, before we wrap up. Because it's just getting me angry that the amount of players we're going to be missing out on. David Villa, you know. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Patrick Kluivert, Javier Saviola. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. Let's scrap that, man. Let's scrap that. But guys, listen up. I'm gonna have to shoot anyway. Yeah, listen. Big up to yourselves for coming on each and every time. Big up to all the mods. Big up to all the newcomers as well for contributing to the channel. Again, if you haven't smashed the like button, guys, make sure you do, as always. And big up to DXR, just coming in now. But yeah, listen, big up to all you guys for contributing. And as I said, I'm back at 7:30 with Flawless. And yeah, make sure you guys come through and show us your support. And as I said, much appreciated each and every time you guys coming through and contributing to the channel. Yeah, Lumi, yeah, listen, the more players you're saying, the more I'm getting angry, because there's just too many players. There's way too many. But yeah, listen, as I said, guys, I'm back at 7:30. Yeah, M&L edits, man. I'll be back on at 7:30, man. So we'll have to do that another time. But yeah, listen, big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. Smash the like button on the way out. Sub to the channel as well. Guys, as I said, I think I'm 10 away from 1.6K. So as I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you do. And as I said, make sure you guys come back through at 7:30 with me and Flawless. And we're going to get into some more Man United talk. Obviously, I want to get his opinions on the transfer window, on the Manchester derby, and on Ruben Amorim as well. So yeah, we'll get involved in that. So but yeah, guys, listen, big up to each and every one of you. Big up to all the mods as always. And as I said, I'll catch you guys back at 7:30. Guys, I've also got my next gen 50. So I've got 2 coming out today. I can't remember what time they're coming out, but I've got 2 coming out today, and I've got 2 coming out tomorrow as well. So yeah, keep an eye on that, and let me know in the comments what you think. Obviously, if any of you that doesn't know, the next gen 50 is the best 50 young players in world football under the age of 21. So it's just a little 5-minute chat on how good these players can Maradona, bloody hell, how good these players can become. So yeah, yeah, give that a check when you get a chance. So 2 of them should be coming out. So keep an eye on that. And as I said, I'll catch you guys back at 7:30. Safe for coming on. Take it easy.